The Man's Guide to Women, Scientifically Proven Secrets from the Love Lab About What Women Really Want, by John M. Gottman, Ph.D., Julie Schwartz Gottman, Ph.D., Douglas Abrams, and Rachel Carlton Abrams, M.D. Picture this. It's 1960, and a young guy named John Quinn is standing in a sterile hospital hallway in Arcata, California. His wife is in labor, and the hospital just told him he can't be in the delivery room with her. So John does what any reasonable person would do. He pleads with the doctors. "This is my wife. I love her. I want to be there." Their answer? Hard no, not safe. No room for spectators. Impossible. Now, most guys would have just accepted defeat and paced around the waiting room. But John Quinn, he stages a full-blown protest. He takes a heavy metal chain, wraps it around his wrist and his wife's wrist, and snaps two padlocks shut. His message is crystal clear. The only way he's leaving is if they drag both of them out. With a baby about to arrive, the hospital staff had no choice. They delivered the baby with John right there beside his wife. Afterwards, he calmly unlocked the chain, walked past the bewildered hospital officials, and a police officer who was literally just scratching his head, according to the newspapers. That single, powerful act of refusing to be separated from the woman he loved in her moment of need tells us something profound. This wasn't about breaking rules. It was about showing unwavering commitment. It was about being a hero. So what does this story have to do with you? Everything. Because understanding women isn't about cracking some secret code or memorizing pickup lines. It's about learning how to truly show up. For decades, one man has dedicated his entire career to scientifically decoding the mysteries of love and relationships. His name is Dr. John Gottman. He's a world-renowned researcher who, from his famous Love Lab at the University of Washington, can predict with a staggering 94% accuracy whether a couple will divorce, often after watching them interact for just a few minutes. He and his co-authors didn't write this book based on hunches or personal theories. They built it on over 40 years of hard data from studying thousands of real couples. They've watched them fight, laugh, and navigate everyday life, measuring everything from heart rates to facial expressions. From that mountain of research, they've extracted a set of scientifically proven secrets about what women actually want. This isn't a book about how to pick up women. It's a guide to succeeding with women for a lifetime. And it starts with a simple, powerful truth. Men have the power to make or break a relationship. What you do, how you think, and how you show up is the crucial factor. So here's my promise to you. By the end of our time together today, you'll have a roadmap, a practical guide to navigating what can often feel like a confusing world. You'll understand the difference between being what the authors call a zero, a guy who's lost and confused, and a hero, a man who knows how to be the partner every woman hopes for. This is your journey from confusion to clarity. Let's dive in. What's the great unanswered question of our time? Legendary scientist Stephen Hawking, a man who unlocked secrets of the universe, was once asked what he thought about most. His answer? Women. They are a complete mystery. If one of the greatest minds in history was stumped, what hope is there for the rest of us? We've all been there, sitting in confusion, wondering why she acts the way she does, talks the way she does, feels the way she does. The authors want you to know two things right from the start. First, it's not as complicated as you think. And second, the answer to that great question, what do women really want, isn't what you've been told. It's not six-pack abs. It's not a fat bank account. It's not some fairy tale Prince Charming routine. The number one thing women are looking for in a man is much simpler and much more profound. It's trustworthiness. That's it, trustworthiness. Now, before you pat yourself on the back thinking, well, I'm not a cheater, so I'm good, we need to understand this goes much deeper. Trustworthiness isn't just about fidelity. It's about being who you say you are and doing what you say you're going to do. It's about reliability, accountability, showing up as yourself. Why is this so important? Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. For thousands of years, a woman's safety, her well-being, and the survival of her children depended entirely on her partner's trustworthiness. She needed to know on a primal level, is he safe? Will he be there for me? Can I count on him? This is why women find firefighters so attractive even today. They symbolize all these qualities. They're heroes. And you can be one too. Those small old-fashioned gestures your grandmother told you about? Opening a door for her? Walking on the traffic side of the street? They're not just about being chivalrous. They're tiny signals that you care about her, that you're willing to protect her. When you show up on time, when you follow through on a promise, you're sending a powerful message. You can count on me. But being trustworthy isn't just about protecting her body, it's about protecting her heart, and this is where most men get completely lost. In the Love Lab, researchers found that women have two major complaints about men. First, he's never there for me. Second, there isn't enough intimacy and connection. These women feel alone, even when they're in a relationship. Meanwhile, men have two major complaints about women. There's too much fighting and there's not enough sex. These men feel lonely too. What the Gottmans discovered is that these complaints aren't separate issues. They're deeply connected, and they can both be solved with one simple, learnable skill they call attunement. When a man learns to attune to his woman, something magical happens. Less fighting, more frequent and better sex. Neither of them feels so alone anymore. Attunement is the key that unlocks emotional connection, which builds trust, which gives her the number one thing she wants. So what is this magical skill? It's not rocket science. The authors even give us a handy acronym for the next time you're with a woman and she's upset. ATTUNE. The first letter, A, stands for attend. This means giving your undivided attention. When she wants to talk, turn off the game. Put away your phone. Show her with your actions that you care about what she's saying. Even if it seems unimportant to you, the details of her day, a story about a coworker, it's important to her. Her sharing it with you is a request for connection. Attention equals affection. Attention is how you express love. The next two letters, TT, stand for turn toward. This is not a metaphor. You must physically turn your body toward your partner. Women equate intimacy with face-to-face, eye-to-eye conversation. Men often feel intimacy when working or playing side by side, a holdover from our ancestral days of hunting together. But unless you and your woman are planning to hunt a buffalo, turn toward her when you talk. The U stands for understand. No matter what she's saying, your goal isn't to fix it or solve it, but simply to understand it. How? You ask questions. If she's complaining about her best friend, don't offer a solution. Don't try to distract her. Don't make jokes. Don't tell her it's not a big deal. Ask questions. Ask about what she's feeling. Ask what it means to her. Let understanding be your only goal. The N stands for non-defensively listen. This is crucial, especially if what she's upset about is you. When we feel criticized, our first instinct is to defend ourselves, to make excuses, to argue, to counterattack. But this will only make things worse. Don't interrupt. Remember this vital truth. Any feeling is a fact to the person feeling it. You don't have to agree with her reality, but you do have to accept that her feelings are real to her in that moment. The men who succeeded in their relationships were the ones who could calm themselves down and not overreact. Finally, the E stands for empathize. This is different from understanding. Understanding is intellectual. Empathy is emotional. It's connecting on a deeper level. Try to feel what she's feeling. Tune into her emotions. Let her know that you value how she feels and that it makes sense to you that she would feel that way. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's about letting her know she's not alone. When you show empathy, the emotional part of her brain calms down because it feels connected. Remember, attuning with how she feels doesn't mean you agree with everything she says. It just means you hear her, you get it. And if you do this first, any discussion about solving the problem will go infinitely better. You'll have less fighting and more sex. Because instead of being angry at you, she'll feel safe and heard. Most men spend their time trying to impress women, talking about themselves, trying to be interesting. But that's the exact opposite of what works. Listening is sexier than talking. Asking questions is sexier than broadcasting. Being genuinely interested in her is far more important than trying to be interesting to her. To really master attunement, though, you need to understand a little bit about how the female brain operates. It's not made of sugar and spice, and it's not pink. It has the same parts as a man's brain, but it operates a little differently in two key areas: rhythm and fear. First, rhythm. Women's bodies are more rhythmically complex than men's because of their monthly menstrual cycle. The holy trinity of hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, shapes her day-to-day reality. During the first 2 weeks of her cycle, when estrogen is high, she might be friendlier, more talkative, and calmer. During the second 2 weeks, when progesterone peaks and then drops, she might be more irritable, more stressed, and want more alone time. This doesn't mean you can blame her emotions on PMS. Trust me, that will never earn you points. But it does mean you should be aware that the woman you were with last week might not be the same woman you're with this week. Her needs and desires change. The best thing you can do is not take her moods personally. Believe it or not, they usually have nothing to do with you. The authors give a brilliant example. A wrong way to respond to her being sad. Seems like every month you have yourself a pity party. Just get over it. The right way? Sounds like you're feeling really sad right now. Talk to me. I want to hear what you're thinking and feeling. One response creates a fight. The other creates connection. This hormonal rhythm also affects her sex drive. Research shows that women tend to be more attracted to aggressive, alpha-type men when they're ovulating, and kinder, more nurturing beta-type men when they're not. This doesn't mean she needs two different men. It means the man who can be both the protector one day and the nurturer the next is the man who succeeds. He learns to match the rhythm of her hormones. The second key difference is fear, and this is one of the most profound insights in the entire book. Imagine a workshop. The leader asks the men, "How many of you have ever feared for your physical well-being?" A few hands go up. When asked when, the men struggle to remember. Once, in a fight in high school. 10 years ago, in a bad neighborhood. Their examples are from decades ago. Then she asks the women the same question. Every single hand in the room goes up. How many in the last year? Every hand stays up. The last month? The last week? Every hand is still raised. Finally, she asks, "How many of you were nervous walking through the hotel parking garage to come to this workshop tonight?" Every woman's hand, without exception, was still in the air. The men in the room were stunned. They had no idea. They weren't afraid, so they assumed the women they loved weren't afraid either. This is a fundamental difference in how men and women experience the world. Women feel more physically vulnerable, and it shapes their reality every single day. There's science to back this up. In a lab experiment, researchers fired a gunshot behind men and women to test their startle reflex. Both genders startled the same way, but their emotional reactions were completely different. The women reported feeling afraid. The men? They reported feeling angry. Some even wanted to get even with the experimenter. Think about that. You're driving, and a car cuts you off. Your instinct is anger. You want to tailgate them. The woman next to you, who was also startled, felt fear. Your aggressive response only makes her more fearful. A hero, understanding this difference, backs off the other driver and turns his attention to making the woman next to him feel safe. And here's the most beautiful part. In another study using an MRI machine, researchers found that when a happily married woman was under the threat of an electric shock, simply holding her husband's hand completely shut down the fear response in her brain. Your touch has the power to make her feel safe in a world that often makes her feel afraid. This is the foundation: trustworthiness, attunement, and a deep understanding of her inner world. Once you have that, you can start to apply it to the world of dating and attraction. Let's talk about attraction. What makes a woman notice you in a crowded room? The authors tell a wonderful story about a woman named Sandra who went on a few dates with a guy named Jonathan. The dates were fine, but there was no spark. She was about to put him in the friend zone. Then, one night, she watched him lead a game of Dungeons and Dragons. As the dungeon master, he was in command. He was confident, strategic, and everyone at the table looked to him for approval. In that moment, watching him in his element, demonstrating his skill and his high social status within that specific context, Sandra found herself incredibly attracted to him. He was a part-time barista in real life, but at that table, in her eyes, he was a hero. The lesson? As Napoleon Dynamite once said, girls only want boyfriends who have great skills. Whatever your skill is, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or collecting stamps, own it. Be the CEO of yourself. Confidence is attractive. Arrogance, which comes from insecurity, is not. But before you can show her your skills, she has to give you the green light. Research shows that it's almost always the woman who controls whether or not a man approaches her. Long before you decide to make your move, she's already sent out the "approach me" smoke signals, or the "you don't have a chance" gestures. So how do you get her to send those signals? You need to send out the right nonverbal cues yourself. You need to show that you're a man of high status, a protector, a provider, in other words, a hero. The first way to do this is what scientists call space maximizing. The person who takes up the most space is seen as the socially dominant one. Stretch out your legs. Throw an arm over the back of your chair. Own your space. Avoid closed body movements, like folding your arms across your chest. Stand up straight. Think of the difference between Clark Kent, nervous, fidgety and fumbling, and Superman, confident, powerful, and taking up space. You want to be Superman. Once you get the signal, a glance, a smile, another glance, it's time to make your first impression. And please, don't be like young John Gottman on his very first date. He had no idea what to do, so he went to the library, found a book of 10,000 jokes, and memorized 300 of them. He told jokes the entire walk to the movie theater. Then, following terrible advice from a friend, he tried to slowly, awkwardly place his hand on his date's chest. His arm went numb, and his hand landed with an unceremonious thump. She threw his arm off with such force that he fell out of his chair. It was a disaster. He failed because he didn't show up as himself. He used cheesy lines instead of genuine interest. A woman may humor you, but what she's really looking for is honest conversation. She has a story, and your job is to invite her to tell it. Ask open-ended questions, questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. Instead of, "Are you an attorney?" which is a yes or no question, ask, "What made you decide to go into law? What do you love about it?" Then listen. Really listen. Ask follow-up questions. This shows you're interested in her, not just waiting for your turn to talk. And as you talk, look into her eyes. A study found that when strangers gazed into each other's eyes for just 2 minutes, it dramatically increased their feelings of intimacy and affection. Speak from a lower pitch, like James Earl Jones, not Mike Tyson. Anxiety makes your voice rise. A calm, deep voice signals confidence. And when you finally ask for her number, research shows that a light, brief touch on her forearm for 1 or 2 seconds increases your chances of her saying yes. It's another subtle signal of confidence. If that first conversation goes well and you get a first date, plan an adventure, do something exciting. Riding a roller coaster, going to a scary movie. These activities can actually help. The physiological response to fear is very similar to the response to arousal. The hormones that get released when you do something new or dangerous are the same ones that get released when you fall in love. Then comes the first kiss. Don't underestimate its power. A woman will always remember the first kiss. One study found that people could recall 90% of the details of their first kiss, no matter how long ago it happened. It was more vivid than their memory of losing their virginity. And for 66% of women, A bad first kiss is enough to end a relationship. So how do you make it count? First, oral hygiene is non-negotiable. Second, be confident, like Rhett Butler. Don't ask for permission, read her signals. If she's looking at your lips, if she licks her own lips, if she leans in, it's time. Go slow. Build anticipation. Let your lips hover close to hers for a moment. That anticipation releases dopamine, the pleasure chemical, and makes the actual kiss even better. Don't cram your tongue into her mouth. It's a kiss, not an assault. It's a dance. Follow her lead, then let her follow yours. And use your hands. Stroke her face, her hair, put your arms around her. Make her feel safe. Now, if the chemistry aligns and the first kiss is magical, you might be wondering, is she more than just a hookup? How can you tell if this has long-term potential? This is where you need to be careful. In the early stages of a relationship, you're in a state the authors call limerence. You're flooded with a chemical cocktail of oxytocin, dopamine, and other hormones. You can't eat, you can't sleep, you're obsessed. This feels amazing, but it also clouds your judgment. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone released during intimacy and even just affection, can shut down the fear response in your brain, making you ignore giant red flags. Remember Michael Douglas in Fatal Attraction? He was in a state of limerence, and it led to a boiled bunny on his stovetop. The woman he had an affair with didn't turn into a problem. She was a problem from the start. He just chose to ignore the signs. So how do you see the signs? Step back and observe her true character. How does she treat her friends, her family, the waiter? Is she kind? Is she patient? Does she blame others for her problems? Remember, people don't change their basic character. If she isn't loyal to those closest to her, she won't be loyal to you. Watch out for certain character types. The damsel in distress, who's always a victim. The princess, who feels entitled and treats others poorly. The competitor, who always has to one-up you. And the drama queen, who's surrounded by chaos. If you're with one of these, you're not in a partnership. You're on a project. And a person is not a fixer-upper. The most important question to ask yourself is, how does she make you feel when you're with her? Do you feel energized and happy? Do you feel like you've come home? Does she bring out your inner hero? A great relationship is a mix of heart, mind, and body. A 0 settles for less than all three. If she passes the test, and you find yourself moving toward a deeper intimacy, you enter the next realm, making love to a woman. And to be a truly great lover, you must first understand her relationship with her own body. This is a complex topic. Women are bombarded with between 400 and 600 advertisements a day, and many of them carry a direct message about what ideal beauty is supposed to look like. It's a digitally manipulated, unattainable standard. The result is that most women have a difficult relationship with the image they see in the mirror. So when she asks that dreaded question, do I look fat in this? There is only one correct answer, the hero's answer. It is, you are beautiful no matter what you wear. That's it. There is no other answer, ever. A woman's desire depends on her feeling desirable. If she doesn't feel good about her body, she'll have a hard time enjoying it, or enjoying you enjoying it. The greatest intimate organ a woman has is her mind. Make her feel your attraction, your passion, your devotion. Make her feel beautiful in the mirror of your eyes. That's where great connection begins. Passion begins in the mind. A woman needs to feel connected, to feel desire. She needs to feel safe. You can have encyclopedic knowledge of her anatomy, but if you haven't first connected with her heart, those nerve endings won't ignite. But let's assume you have. The authors give us a wonderful metaphor for how to approach intimacy. Think of the porcupine. For two porcupines to mate, it's a very delicate situation. They're covered in razor-sharp quills. If the male rushes in too soon, he'll get injured. So what does he do? He sits in front of the female and gently strokes her face with his paws, over and over again. He's patient. He waits until her quills go down. Only then, when she's relaxed and ready, does he proceed. The male porcupine is a hero. Take your time. or somebody might end up hurt. This means forgetting everything you've learned from adult films. Those are created around a male fantasy. They're about speed and intensity. Real intimacy is a story. In those films, women are always ready. In real life, they need to be courted, pleased, and gradually aroused. In those films, physical connection is about pounding. In real life, the rhythm varies with the mood. In those films, women have endless pleasure from one act alone. In real life, only about 25% of women can reach that peak from that one act alone. For most women, the key is more focused attention. Your single greatest tool is your mouth. Oral attention is essential. Become a connoisseur. But don't just focus there. Her entire body is sensitive. Use your hands. Your 10 little tools of pleasure. Touch her lightly. Be creative. Don't follow a routine of lips, then chest, then lower. Explore her neck, her shoulders, the small of her back. The goal is to be turned on by her arousal, not just your own. When it comes to sensitive areas, proceed gently. There are as many nerve endings in that small area as in the entire head of a man's anatomy, compacted into a tiny space. It's fireworks waiting to happen. Use consistent, rhythmic pressure. And if the main event isn't leading to her peak, lend a helping hand. Use your fingers or hers or a toy. Your satisfaction should come from her pleasure. And it doesn't end when the physical act is over. The period after, the afterglow, is a source of enormous pleasure for women. They want to be held, stroked, and cuddled. Don't just roll over and fall asleep. Put your arm around her. Hold her. Make her feel safe and loved. If you do all of this, if you build trust, if you attune, if you create safety, if you become her best lover, you might find yourself wanting to love her for a lifetime. But how do you navigate the challenges of a long-term relationship? First, you must learn to fight differently. Remember, one of men's biggest complaints is too much fighting. A woman won't want to be intimate with you if she's angry or feels unheard. Her goal in a conflict isn't to solve the problem. It's to be better understood. Your goal is usually to fix it. This is a fundamental mismatch. When a conflict starts, men get emotionally flooded more easily than women. Your heart rate soars, adrenaline pumps, and you enter fight or flight mode. In this state, it's physiologically impossible to listen, be empathetic, or have a sense of humor. Your brain has gone into survival mode. You see a verbal jab and you react as if it were a physical threat. What do men do when they get flooded? They often stonewall, they shut down, or they get defensive, critical, or contemptuous. The authors call these the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in a relationship. They're a recipe for disaster. So what does a hero do? He learns to self-soothe. He takes a deep breath. He counts to 10. And if that doesn't work, he takes a break. But you can't just walk out. You have to say, I'm having a hard time listening right now. I need to take a 20-minute break. And then I'll come back and we can talk. During that break, you must distract yourself completely. Read a magazine. Think about baseball. Don't rehearse your arguments. Let the flooding hormones subside. When you come back, your job isn't to win the argument. Your job is to find out where she hurts. Ask 3 simple questions. What do you need? What are you concerned about? What are you feeling? Remember, if she's criticizing you, it's often because she's in pain. At the heart of her complaint is a desire to feel closer, safer, or to trust you more. Another key to a long life together is to understand and support her friendships. A man's longevity is often tied to whether or not he's married. For a woman, it's the quality of her friendships with other women that determines her longevity. Women have a tend and befriend response to stress, which is different from a man's fight or flight. They need their social network. It's evolutionary. It's biological. Don't be threatened by it. Support it. Her friends are a support system for your relationship too. Finally, we arrive at commitment. If you find yourself wondering, is she the one? How do you know for sure? The authors say, it's not about having the same hobbies. Compatibility is mostly irrelevant. What matters is how you relate to feelings. And most importantly, how you make each other feel. If she makes you feel insecure, not good enough, or bad about yourself, she's not the one. If she makes you feel wonderful, desired, funny, and like your best self, if you feel like you're home when you're with her, then she's one of your potential ones. Albert Einstein may have been a genius, but he was a disaster in his marriage. He once gave his wife a list of conditions for staying together, including that she must stop talking to him if he requests it, and leave his bedroom without protest if he asks. Needless to say, she left him. Don't be an Einstein. Loving a woman for a lifetime isn't about making demands. It's about being endlessly curious about her inner world. Never stop dating her. Kiss her for 6 seconds every time you say hello and goodbye. Appreciate her every single day. And honor her dreams. Support her in becoming everything she wants to be. The journey of understanding women is, in the end, a journey of understanding yourself. You're at your best when you're in a loving, exciting relationship. Women will challenge you, they'll confuse you, and they'll heal you. Loving them is one of the greatest adventures life has to offer. As we come to the end of our journey, through the Man's Guide to Women, I'm left with one overwhelmingly powerful idea. It's the simple statement the authors make right at the beginning, that what men do in a relationship is, by a large margin, the crucial factor that separates a great relationship from a failed one. At first, that might sound like a heavy burden. It might feel like all the pressure is on you. But I invite you to see it differently. I see it as incredibly empowering. It means you're not a passive passenger in your relationships. You're the pilot. You have the controls. The success of your connection with a woman isn't a matter of luck or fate, or finding some mythical, perfect person who never gets upset. It's a matter of skill. And the most beautiful part is that the core skill, attunement, isn't some mystical talent you're either born with or not. It's a simple, practical framework. It's a choice you can make in any given moment. Do you choose to put down your phone and truly listen? Do you choose to turn your body toward her? Do you choose to ask questions with a genuine goal of understanding, rather than just waiting to give your solution? These are small hinges that swing big doors. This book isn't a collection of tricks or tactics. It's a deep dive into empathy. It asks you to step outside of your own experience of the world and truly consider another person's. To understand that her brain might process fear differently than yours. To recognize that her need for connection through conversation is as real and valid as your need for connection through shared activities. To see that behind a complaint or criticism is often a hidden pain or a longing to feel safe. If you were to take just a few things from our time together today and apply them, your world could change. So here are 3 simple actions you can start with, right now. First, for the next week, consciously practice the attend part of attunement. The next time the woman in your life, whether it's your girlfriend, your sister, or your mother, starts talking to you, make a deliberate choice. Stop what you're doing. Put your phone face down on the table. Give her 100% of your attention, just for a few minutes. See what happens. Second, try the 6-second kiss. Every time you say goodbye and every time you say hello, make it a real kiss, not a quick peck. A deliberate, 6-second connection. Feel the difference it makes in your day and in hers. It's a tiny ritual that builds a bridge of intimacy. And third, ask one open-ended question tonight. Instead of, "How was your day?" which usually gets a one-word answer, try something like, "What was the most interesting part of your day?" Or, "What's something you're thinking about right now?" And then just listen. Don't judge, don't fix. Just listen to understand. This book is a profound gift. It takes the mystery out of relationships and replaces it with science, compassion, and a clear path forward. It's not about changing who you are. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, a man who's present, empathetic, strong, and trustworthy, a hero. And that's a journey worth taking, not just for the women in your life, but for yourself. That was a summary of The Man's Guide to Women by Dr. John Gottman and his team. We've explored the core ideas today, but I have to be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. You can see the layout, you can identify the major landmarks, but you can't feel the sun on your skin or taste the local cuisine. The real magic happens when you visit the country yourself. If any of the stories or ideas we've talked about today sparked something in you, I highly encourage you to pick up a copy of the book. Reading it isn't just about learning information. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you navigate your relationships and see the world. You'll find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a new perspective, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.